Hey, so it's been a good minute since I've had a thoughtful update, and despite my lack of filming, I've been active in communities, I'm watching videos, and I've been chatting to many of you, so I'm in the loop. But I've had a lot of thoughts and opinions building up after a good few months, and I swear, once that camera turned on, I began with direction, but then I just kind of went for it and unloaded. So this is just a warning. Enjoy! I feel guilty because last night I kind of found myself in a situation where I really surprised myself, and unfortunately not in a very good way. I had a reaction to a situation that I hadn't had admittedly since high school, and I'm even ashamed to say that I had this reaction in high school, and whether or not a lot of us like to admit it, we kind of do the same thing every now and again and kind of have to snap ourselves out of it. I was leaving a grocery store, and as I'm leaving a grocery store, there's somebody making their way in, I guess, fumbling with their bag, making sure they have their stuff. And I'm not an overly stary kind of person. I'm not going to stare you down, but I am a person that likes to be aware of their surroundings. That's the way that I am, the way I've always been. I like to be aware of what's going on around me. And normally, this woman would have just blended in with the environment, if not for her t-shirt, which my eyes zeroed in on with laser focus. She was wearing a Joy Division shirt, and it wasn't just the design, it was literally Joy Division plastered across the front. Little tight baby doll Joy Division shirt. So automatically I did what every other goth does when we see another goth in public. Goth chip activated, and we scan them head to toe, toe to head, because don't act like you've never done this. As a goth, when we see a goth out in public in an environment where we're not expecting to see another goth, we genuinely get excited. We are excited to see other goths outside of goth-like situations. If we're not expecting to see you and you're at the laundromat or the grocery store, we're excited because you're out there and we want to know who you are. But there was nothing perceptively goth about this person. She had these sort of honey blonde tousled beach waves in a bob. She had a bronzer on, nude lip gloss. She was wearing a chunky cable knit cardigan with her Joy Division shirt, of course, and these kind of yoga pants with suede tan flats and perfectly done French manicure. And did I mention I scanned her from head to toe? Because I did. I had to slap myself, say no, because I'm judging her. I'm like, who are you wearing this freaking t-shirt? You're not a goth. And of course, now I'm with my friend, I have to explain why I'm stood in the parking lot like Children of the Corn meets some possessed mime aggro scanning this human being. And my answer was, as if he would understand from this, she's wearing a Joy Division t-shirt. This is a non-goth I'm talking to, by the way, and he's like, okay, as if to say, more needed, please. And then I had to explain, well, that's a goth band. And of course he saw her, and still he's like, why is that bad? And now I'm questioning myself, okay, why is that bad? So naturally now I have to explain myself, why is that bad? And I was finding it difficult, because here I am, I'm, frustrated, and I'm a little angry because I see this normal human being wearing a Joy Division shirt. She could have liked Joy Division. Who knows? Maybe did I mention that I'm not that big a fan of Joy Division anyway? So this is what makes it all the more frustrating that I had this kind of reaction. So I'm trying desperately to explain why this is a bad thing. And of course he comes back with the ultra punny response. I thought it was about joy, not division. Okay, fair. Okay, so devil's advocate. When I'm at the gym, I'm makeup free. I'm wearing sweats and a band t-shirt. I'm not exactly Anna Varney on the treadmill of darkness. So who knows? This woman may very well could have liked Joy Division. But considering that this is the most commercial, mass-produced t-shirt that you're going to find in places like H&M, Urban Outfitters, it's not very likely. Now, is it impossible? No. But again, not very likely. Why do goths get so seemingly territorial over things like this? And I want to use the word seemingly because I can't find another word befitting, since it's not like we're peeing around the perimeter of goth nights just to ward off possible outsiders. We don't only associate with other goths. We have plenty of non-goths as friends. Mike, the guy with me the other night at the grocery store, he's not a goth. We're all really quite happy to share music with each other, non-goth, goth, it doesn't really matter. In fact, it's one of our favorite things. And even to people who may or may not be involved in the subculture, we're very happy to invite people to events and share in those experiences together. So why is it that we get so upset when confronted with a person who's wearing a t-shirt that is associated with the subculture when they have no idea of the meaning behind it? Because at face value, it's just a shirt. But to us, it's more than that. I'm one of those people that needs to know the answer to things, and especially I need to be able to express myself. And if I find that something's difficult to articulate, it's frustrating to me. So obviously, this being one of those things that I found a little bit difficult to articulate, I really had to rack my brain. Because oftentimes, people will see a goth up in arms about something and they're like, oh, there's Darktavia again over there, throwing a temper tantrum, screaming about some meaningless crap. Okay, Darktavia, we get it. It's bad. Put down the cross and stop screaming. I understand the way it looks on the outside, so it's important that we express why these things bother us and what those things are, so it's not seen as meaningless crap, even though, sometimes it can be a little bit dramatic. So part of it goes way back pre-social media and to high school, to the taunting and the jeering and the bullying that we as goths, or even those in the alternative subcultures, have at some point been on the receiving end of. And when a few years later, you find the very person that mocked or even bullied you wearing the very same thing that they tormented you over, it's kind of hard not to get pissed over that. Despite this being a pre-internet thing, there's been a few added elements by way of social media and just time moving forward the way that it does. What's really added a few extra bones of contention to the pot is the fact that there's just so much misinformation being put out there about us. Ourselves, our subculture, are becoming horribly misrepresented, and this false idea is being presented. There are people who deliberately get us wrong for selfish reasons, and they portray the scene in a way that suits their own narrative. And it will be featuring things that have absolutely nothing to do with the subculture in any way, but it's just so they can have those bragging rights and be able to have that title of goth. And you wouldn't go into somebody's house and start rearranging furniture and throwing things out, right? I wanted to take this opportunity to touch on a few points of misinformation that I've seen in communities where people are discussing it. I've seen it in comments that I've gotten here, and I've even seen it in videos, so I've narrowed it down to 3. 1. I don't like goth music, but I consider myself a goth because I like goth things. So therefore, by extension, any music I listen to, from country to Taylor Swift, is automatically goth. Goth is a definitive style of music. It's not a feeling that can be applied. So you can have a song that can evoke a dark emotion or even scare you, but that doesn't make it part of the subculture. So the ear doesn't determine the type of music. For example, if you like dark things, that doesn't automatically make Taylor Swift goth. If that's true, then we can apply that logic to everything. I am a goth, therefore the pavement beneath my feet is goth by extension. I am a goth, so this water that I am drinking is goth water. I just went to the beach yesterday, and because my butt touched that sand, it is therefore known as Goth Beach, and the seagulls are my minions. Hail SpongeBob! It's not the 80s anymore. It's 2019. Goth has evolved, so therefore things like symphonic metal and SoundCloud goth rap are now goth. Metal will always be metal. Rap will always be rap. The only thing true about that statement is that goth has evolved. Evolution is necessary in order for things to adapt and endure, and you can hear the fruits of that evolution in the sounds that the music actually evolved into. Boy Harsher, Linnea Spera, Ante, Soft Kill, Lebanon Hanover, She Passed Away, Ash Code, Drab Majesty. Even older bands that are still producing music to this day have evolved their sound without straying from the core. Rap and metal are worlds apart from one another, and for goth to evolve into one or both of those things would require you to change its core, the very thing from which it evolved from. And goth varies in style and in sound, but when you listen to it, you can still hear its unmistakable roots. If the core changes, it becomes a very different beast. Let's apply this logic to humans. If you want to get that kind of divergence, then you would have to change our common ancestor from great ape to alpaca. It's really not that big a deal. Goth is just a style of dress. If a style of dress comes along with its own history, soundtrack, festivals, events, club nights, a community, then it's probably safe to say it might just be a little bit more than that. When it comes to people identifying as goth, we seem to have the same philosophy as a lot of people seem to have about many things, because we've all heard this and it's been applied to so many different situations, and it really fits here. I don't really care what anybody does, so long as they're not hurting anybody. Everybody has the right to identify as anything they want, If you wish to identify as a goth for whatever reason, do you listen to the music, you don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. The only time that we take notice is when we start getting knock-on effects from your choices. Translated, if what you're doing starts to affect us, we have a problem. Example, females already have the issue with being treated like sex objects. Goth girls, we're hypersexualized and we're turned into fetishes. This has gone on since the inception of the scene, and talk to any goth girl, I promise you, they have a story. I cannot tell you how many times I've been approached by normal-looking men, assuming that I am automatically into kink, considering the way that I look. I remember once I was in Smoothie King in Penn Station waiting for my drink, and I see out of my peripherals this guy in a suit kind of stalking, kind of walking back and forth, creepily watching from the outside, and finally he comes in, asks me if I'm a suicide girl, and then goes on to ask me if I'm into foot play. It's kind of gross. They see us as exciting because we look different to your non-goth variety. They see us in our adventurous and uninhibited style of dress and automatically presume that we are adventurous and uninhibited in the bedroom, aka up for anything, anytime, anywhere, with anyone, and we are here for you to ball gag and spank. Sorry, no. This has been made exponentially worse with the advent of Goth Soundcloud Rap, because they portray goth girls as whores, and I'm sorry to use that wording, but there's really no better way to put it. Half naked, posing in such a way that leads you to believe that they're getting their cervix examined by way of their butthole, using hashtags like goth bitch. I've gotten so many comments from girls in high school that have been affected by this, and that big titty goth girlfriend meme, that was started out as a joke, has turned into something that it really shouldn't, and it's gone from satire to the ultimate goal of attaining that freaky goth girlfriend. And now this hashtag goth bitch sort of image, unfortunately, has attached itself to all goth girls, and it's a reputation that we never asked for nor earned. If you identify as a goth, anything that you say or do on social media, if you decide to have a public platform, is going to attach itself to all goths. The same goes with metalheads, same goes with furries. So anything that you say, you're speaking for an entire community. So if someone goes out there with these cookie cutter values trying to sell you an image and decides to paint themselves with hummus, chimney soot, and some Elmer's glue, acts like an arrogant fool and says, I am a goth, this is what goth is, therefore everything I say goes, and plays you some metal music, they're going to get the inevitable pushback from the goth community. And then old Hummus Face is going to turn into a martyr because they're going to claim persecution from the elitists. No. What you're getting are protests from people that don't like you speaking for them, nor painting a false picture of us. Taking it upon oneself to redesign and rearrange an entire subculture that they have no interest in, nor any part of, just so they can have the bragging rights and the title of goth, but not only that, appointing themselves spokesperson and authority for all involved. If that is not an act of elitism, then I'm a fucking marshmallow fluff sandwich. We'll see how this goes once I get around to editing this, but I'm sure it seems so off the wall and ranty and there's no real cohesion to anything, but it's been a while and I've wanted to say so many things and I've had so many thoughts and ideas that I've wanted to express to you, but I guess since it's been so long, the second I got myself in front of a camera, I just went friggin' everywhere. And I hope this makes some sort of sense to you, but I guess what I'm really trying to convey in this video is that we're not touchy, we're not sensitive people, and goth is not this exclusive speakeasy that no one can get into. And 9 times out of 10, if anybody shows any sort of interest in the subculture, you're going to be met by people who are more than happy to hook you up with some sweet tunes and help guide you along the way. And that's, the majority of us are very much the more the merrier kind of bunch. I know I speak for myself as well as many of my friends within the community when I say we just don't like to be misrepresented or painted unfairly. Goth or not, nobody wants anybody to speak for them. I mean, what gives anybody the right to speak for you? Because they don't know your personal situation or anything that you're involved in. So what gives anybody the right that's not involved in the community or involved in the subculture to try to dictate what it's all about? So I hope this has made some sense, and I'm going to be updating more regularly, I promise. I'm back now, and hopefully I will be able to talk about what's been going on. Missed you. Bye.